Oh, man. All right, brother Kwasi.
Yes, sir.
I'm in your domain now, bro.
Yeah.
It's good to finally make it here, man.
That's good to have you.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you taking the time out and the interest. Right?
Yeah.
It's special. You know, it makes us feel important. This was a good opportunity for you to, come to the new place, and I appreciate you taking the walk out. That was important.
Yeah.
Just to kind of get a feel for the environment.
Yeah.
And spend some quality time, you know?
Yeah. See, he ain't telling y'all that I had to duck and dodge the duck poop out there. He ain't telling y'all that part.
It wasn't as bad as it normally is.
No, it was good. It was good.
Yeah.
What's really important though is you got two children.
Yeah.
A very young one.
Yeah.
And you got a teenager. How old is y'all now?
Y'all is 11.
11. Okay. Yeah. So he's a young teenager.
Preteen. Preteen.
Yeah. And
he's growing and evolving fast.
Yeah. Hey, Kwasi, come in and say hi to us. See, I know she's in there doing her motherly thing, so we don't want to bring her into the video real quick.
Greetings.
Yeah. So what I was saying, for the kids, this is a great environment for them. You got the lake out there. Y'all can ride his bike. Matter of fact, he was riding his bike earlier. And of course, obviously, the area is it has everything that you need here.
Yeah.
Everything is close by. Kind of reminds me of my area a little bit, but you have more hustle and bustle up here, though. A lot more traffic.
Yeah. This is a rural area, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with the rapid development, it's going to be quickly urbanized. We're right outside of Charlotte.
Right.
And, this is one of those areas where a lot of people move in from other parts of the country.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, with Charlotte,
mm-hmm.
you will hear people make this joke, nobody's from Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
But this area is the same way. When you talk to, people in the neighborhood or outside of the community, it is very common to hear people say, oh, well, I moved here from such and such, or I came here from this place or that place, or what have you. Of course, my wife's been here her entire life.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you how old she is. And I've been here half of my life.
Okay.
Literally half of my life I've been right here.
Yeah.
It's a big difference from, where we grew up in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
I had made a post on Facebook about the difference in environment. A lot of what, you being from up north yourself, a lot of what we had to contend with in city or urban life, we don't have it here.
Mm-hmm.
So the children are a little softer, right? More well-mannered, I think, than when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had to adapt and adjust and kind of be tough. But being in an environment like this, we don't have so many of the demands, the social demands that young people have to kind of have a thick skin and be even being responsible earlier. Like, there's not a corner store to walk down the street to or anything like that. So we have to kind of train them in our own way.
Mm-hmm.
Give them little tasks, give them little assignments, little duties and responsibilities,
mm-hmm.
so that they do evolve and mature and find that thick skin that they need. Because the world's not going to be nice to them when they're outside.
That's very true. You bring up a very good point about responsibility. Mm-hmm. Basically, that's what you said. And they learn about responsibility and under a disciplined environment. Parent, obviously a parent, a father, a mother, supporting family structure and stuff like that. You find that urbanization, the negative urbanization, has a way of strangleholding our children when there's no direction, when there's no discipline, when there's no structure, when there's no foundation. So talking about, Philadelphia and the larger urban centers in New Jersey, I see the same thing down here. Now that I'm in the Columbia area, of South Carolina, I see the same kind of urbanization issues with our youth there, with the guns and everything else. And we can talk all day about why, what they see, what they're exposed to. We know all those societal ills that they got to deal with. But we can make it so much easier for them if somebody, a parent or elder, I'll get ready to say older, but I don't want to say that. An elder or somebody, a guardian, a responsible guardian, can give them the structure and the what you laid out just now. So I mean, am I on point here, or am I just a little off, or you tell me what the?
No, you're on point. I mean,
okay.
It's interesting because there's the South has its nuances, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
There used to be a time where, for example, when you thought of gangs or criminal activity or behavior, what we understand to be might be a northern thing or a West Coast thing, but now it's like rapidly, being more common or prevalent in the South too. And something you said, we can talk about the whys. And I had brought this up one time. I said something about the struggles I was having with some of the young people that I work with. And I do behavior analysis.
Right.
Not just behavior intervention, but really just studying children's behavior. And we can point to the whys. Someone has said this, I'm not going to go on that, but someone said, well, the children are that way because of the environment and, the Western culture and being in proximity to, our European counterparts, right? And we can explain away why we have the behavior that we do, why our communities are torn down and things of that nature. But for me, when I talk about how challenging the behaviors are and how we're seeing such a increase in violence and a lack of respect and character and integrity and all those things, we know the roots, we know the origins. We can talk about, and it's Black History Month, we can talk about how things arrive to be where they are. But more important to me is, what are we gonna do about it?
Right.
That's more important.
Right.
We go all through the history, Yorugu, Eurocentrism, white pathology, we know all of that stuff. But how do we counter it materially with facts and evidence and data? How do we shift these things? And it's really scary because when we talk about Black community, for one, you see where we live. This is not a Black community.
No, it's not.
Right? So we don't live in proximity to it, but my wife and I both work in it. So we're seeing what's taking place in lower income communities, in areas where predominantly Black people. So we're involved with trying to fix it. We can talk all day about why it's happening, but when you work in it and live in it, we need some answers to how are we going to change this thing? How are we going to fix this thing? And I think that, that's the most important thrust, is to come up with some viable solutions. And I really feel to some degree that, and I don't want to sound pessimistic, but it's like a lot of it, do we really have hope? You know, just being real, are we going to really solve these problems and fix these communities? Mm-hmm. No.
I mean, when you look at when you really want to be honest about the reality of our situation, it's going to be a very, very difficult charge for us to do as a collective. Which is why it's important for us to, on an individual basis, as self, and then obviously into the family structure. You know what I mean? It's not going to do us any good, like you said, to talk about it. And I'm big on this anyway. And forgive me if I generalize, but the ones or some of the people who I know personally, who are the super African revolutionary spirit type people, those are the ones that can't stay in a relationship. Those are the same ones who can't have a decent conversation with you. You know what I mean? A real open dialogue of ideas and opinions. A lot of times I may throw opinions by you, and I'm just talking about myself personally.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of me getting feedback of where that opinion or hypothetical situation, where can we possibly go with it? So when I say no, and I know in my heart it's going to be very difficult as African people to change our dynamic in this paradigm unless we leave and go start somewhere else. However, while we're here, is there really hope? Like you said, is there hope for us? Yeah. And when you look at the last several hundred years, you know, there may be a pocket here or there of some progress. You know, maybe a leader came along and gave us some hope along the way. You know, we can say a few names. But the bottom line is we end up being right where we started. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, we are now able to do more things economically. You know, we have a couple cars in the garage, in the driveway. We got a house. But what really has changed beyond that? Yeah. You know. Ma'at seems to be a big thing nowadays. Where people don't even know what Ma'at is. You know, you see a lot of people talking about Ma'at. Yeah. And in order for you to live the principles of Ma'at, you have to change, the very essence of your soul. Yeah. Excuse me for using that word soul.
Understood.
But you have to change the essence of your being.
The depth of your being.
Right. So the program part of you has to be excised. Yeah. Has to be cut out in order for you to be this morally conscious, righteous, good-willing type person. You know what I mean? Like I made I know you're gonna laugh at this. We were just coming back from outside, walking around the lake right there. Yeah. And I said, man, we need our reparations. Hey, y'all gonna laugh on this one. We was walking by one of the houses, right? I said, man, I bet you a white person is there, man. We can grab those Amazon packages. We can get our reparations. Now, of course, I was only joking. I would never do that. However, when you think about that, I think people actually really they think and feel like that.
So I'm glad you went there because that's really important, right? So and this is just my take, right? And I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. If we use certain behaviors, certain tactics to try and get things done, like you're just saying, well, I can go steal these Amazon packages off this porch because I know some white people live there, right. So I'm just taking from white people. Right. And I'm going to look at it like, well, they owe us anyway, or these reparations or whatnot. But if you build your if you build your mode of operating from that consciousness, when you get done stealing from white people and you're used to stealing now, what's going to stop you from stealing from black people?
Good point.
Right? Because you built this consciousness. You built this behavior pattern, this way of rationalizing things. So you go from one extreme to another extreme because it's a part of your way of functioning.
Right.
So I'm not going to say who, but somebody corrected me, and you know who it is, years ago. Well, I had this idea. I was like, well, I got this extra money. I'm going to go ahead and start me a business, but I'm only going to hire, white folk, and I'm going to drag them. I'm going to pay them minimum wage. I'll be a capitalist and exploit these white people, for their labor. And the person said, well, eventually you're going to do that to some black people too, because you get used to doing it. Which we don't think about these days, right? We don't.
Well, we want to think that we won't turn into that kind of person.
Yeah.
But we've seen so many examples over the course of history where people have got corrupted with power and with the come up thing. So
absolutely. Yeah. And that's how, for example, our neighborhoods get ravaged by drugs. I remember coming up, it was common to hear people say, I'm trying to put some food on the table, I'm trying to feed my kids, I'm trying to keep from starving. You go from trying to keep from starving to driving a Mercedes and wearing a fur coat.
And then, you might end up participating in human trafficking and the sex trade and everything else at that point.
Absolutely.
But now you can use people to your benefit.
Yeah. And you'll do anything.
Yeah.
So it took me, admittedly, it took me a while to understand that the little things that you do that you might think are insignificant or that you might think are the right things to do can build a type of thinking into you to where you become a disease in yourself. And once that takes place, we can't go and blame whoever.
Right.
We can't blame Yoruba or blame the white man or whoever, because you willingly became this person.
The canary in the mine, the parakeet in the mine, whatever, canary or the parakeet, you know what I mean?
Yes.
We need to have parakeets and canaries around us to give off those warning signs. Now, now they normally die when there's a lack of oxygen.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. There's got to be an early warning system.
Yeah.
So when you have people around you who are living in the same type of principles that you are, talking about Ma'at, morally righteous, willing to do the right thing, and all that kind of stuff, we'll be less apt to fall into that path of corruption when you have your parakeets around you. When you have those canaries around you that can warn you that hey, yo, bro, yo, sis, don't forget, you're going astray a little bit here. Come on back on the path. But when you're by yourself, you know what I mean? And we have this problem with this individuality in this time and age. When we're by ourselves, we think we're doing the right things. And we may really do think we're doing the right things, but we're going to make mistakes. And sometimes these are huge mistakes that are very difficult to bounce back from. So there we are.
So with that said, let me ask you, being an elder, a real elder, not just an older, but
I can be an older or something sometimes. To be honest with you, human being, man.
Understood.
Being a human being.
Definitely. But I value you.
Okay.
Of course, my wife and I, my family, we value you as a righteous elder, a father figure, a leader, a responsible person who can guide us along the right way, right? How do we get more people like you if if we're looking at the elder as being that example, right? And you have a class of elders, the young generation coming along, how do we develop people to be this way younger, right? Because it's like we always look at the elder as being the model, right? How do we get that type of character? I hate using the word character. I really do.
Yeah.
But how do you get that type of person? How do you develop that person in their 20s?
Yeah.
Teens, 20s, and 30s. Do you feel like it's something that happens naturally with the experience and evolution, or can we actually develop people younger?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think about?
Well, to be quite honest with you, and I know class is a bad word to use sometimes. Class, right? Classification. In that aspect, there is a classification system. When you have brothers that, I was just talking about earlier, people, when they find out I'm 71 years old, almost 72, people that don't know me are surprised that I'm actually that old. They think I'm late 50s, early 60s or whatever. But I'm going to be 72 this year.
You wear it well. It's about how you wear it.
Yeah. And that's good. I know I got to deal with my weight, and there's always a never-ending problem with weight, but that's because I don't like to give up sandwiches. And I'm telling the world now, that's my issue. But anyway, the classification part is working right now. It just so happens that I got brothers like you, we're talking about age classifications, right? Where
I'm gonna take some notes.
Where you have brothers in their 40s, late 30s, in their 40s. There's another brother who I just started talking to in his 50s, who called me on the regular and get, I guess you could say, guidance, but a lot of times it's just having a conversation, and I guess somewhere along the way I impart some wisdom, little bits of wisdom as we talk. Just like with me and you. We just might having a regular conversation. We talking about the ducks, talking about the birds, poop, and all that kind of stuff. But somewhere in there, I drop some pearls.
Yes.
Sometimes I don't even realize I'm dropping pearls, but I drop the pearls.
Yeah.
So it's in action right now with me and you. It's going to be in action when you talk to your teenage son, and then your teenage son talks to your young child. And your teenage son is going to be exposed to other teenagers who's getting that wisdom from you, seeing the way that you live, doing the right things, the community service that you do. And then the brothers, so I already know what you're doing with your children. I'll use Kufu as a good example. He's got two young children. I know he's raising those kids the best that he can. And I know he's doing it the right way. Because I talk to Kufu almost every damn day. So, it's an action. It's an age classification thing. It's almost like a form of rites of passage. Okay? It's very informal. Now, we can talk about the formal stuff, the structured stuff, but we really need the engagement. We need to have community, individual, we put individual first, and community engagement with each other in order for this stuff to work.
So you're imparting this to me now.
Yeah.
This is like a informal type of training.
Pretty much. It don't seem like training, but because a real elder says that you gave me an invitation a couple of days ago to come up. And I could have looked at it, I could have said, you know what, man, shit. I gotta put $15 worth of gas in my damn car. I gotta go up there and visit they're nice people and everything. I like Akasha, you know what I mean? I like Kwasi, but man, I ain't going up there.
I don't feel like it.
You know what I mean? I ain't going up there. And see, and that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm talking that my ox shit online.
Yeah.
Revolutionary this. We gotta talk to our children. But yet, when I come to a simple decision like that, I'm not walking the walk.
Can I say this even?
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's in line.
Yeah.
And tell me if I'm right.
Okay.
When you do show up, or we show up to your place, I feel like I gotta tighten up.
You should be under that kind of pressure though.
I gotta tighten up.
Okay, all right.
We're about to be in Baba's presence, so I gotta tighten up.
You should have, yeah. Okay, I understand.
So, I mean, it's like you said, this is informal training.
Right.
So I'm asking you, do you do surveillance? Like,
Oh man.
do you watch and look to like see, you know what I'm saying? Are you looking for things to see, like, is this brother living the way he's supposed to be?
Yeah.
Is he hiding it? Will I go out on the back porch and find some blunts in the ashtray? You know,
Oh man.
they gonna have some pork on the table in the kitchen and try to hide it. Like, do you look for things to find? Is the brother really living the way he purports to be?
Man, I'm gonna have to be politically correct when I answer that. Yeah. Well, yeah. The answer is yes, but I gotta give a disclaimer, and you know, and I gotta put it in perspective. So when I'm looking, I already know. I already know by number one, the interaction that we have. You know, then it starts with our conversations on the phone. You know what I mean, and then it's the one-on-one, the eye contact, the body language, and things like that. The type of response I get. You know what I mean, from our experience with each other. So yes, I experienced all that, and if I wasn't feeling comfortable with none of that, all of that, then I'm not going to take it to the next level.
Gotcha.
So I'm saying I'm not going to take it to the next level. There are elders, not just brothers of your age and younger, or maybe even a little bit older, but there are elders who I've reached out to. You know what I mean, online, who I see post a lot of good shit. You know what I mean? And then when I send them an inbox message, and I'm talking about females too. Now the females, that's a whole nother different thing. They might be thinking I'm trying to get with them.
Understood.
Okay, so I don't even know what that's about. But I do know with the brothers, there's no reason why you can't respond back to me, knowing that I'm an elder, especially that I relocated to a different geographical location. And you know that's probably the reason why I'm reaching out to you in the first place. But you choose not to respond to me. Okay, that's like what I was telling you about. You know, should I go? Should I? You know, he invited me up.
Yeah.
So in my post that you saw, what it was the day before, I think it was yesterday, the day before, when I said, don't get it twisted when you are asked to have a conversation with somebody. I mean, you know, when people reach out to you beyond Facebook or beyond social media, people don't want to make that so-called commitment. But it's not a commitment.
Yeah.
It's only a commitment when you make a good commitment. You know what I mean? So the part about conversation, we should keep it there.
Yeah.
You know, the conversation allows us to build the bridges and the common denominators that would allow us to maybe take that further than a conversation. But we can't go nowhere if you're not willing to have the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's no commitment in the conversation. There's no reason why you can't respond to my phone call or my inbox or my email. There's no reason why you shouldn't do that, because you think because I am an elder, especially the younger crew, or even the elders. Yeah. So, oh man, you want to ask me to be part of that Raising Awareness group? You know what I mean? And we're not even really doing anything with the Raising Awareness group other than just, putting out, scholarly works. Yeah. What we're doing on our website with the articles, and with Brother Olatunji and myself writing a book or two. Yeah. We're not really doing anything with that group now. But but I'm attached to it now. And people, he's trying to build that group back up. He's trying to be back in there.
Well, it's important. Those are vehicles. I look at it like it's a vehicle that can not just take the members of the group somewhere, right, but the work that you do is going to still be here
Yeah.
for the next generation.
And that is the most important part of that. You know what I mean? Right now, it's not about the talking, like you said. It's not about the talking and the pom-pom, you know, raving and the cheerleading stuff. No, we're basically beyond that. It's about us putting out the information that we think is important,
Yeah.
putting it in a form that can be retrieved pretty readily. You know what I mean? Like digitally,
Yeah.
online, on the website and on YouTube, and also in our books. You know that we wrote. So that should be the call for anybody in this early stage of our so-called revitalization. You know what I mean, that we're trying to do, because that's really what it is. It's not really a revolution. This is a revitalization of the African people.
I'm glad you said
especially
that.
on the North American continent.
Yeah, I'm really glad you touched on that, because that's one thing that I've really been trying to communicate to people around me, people I communicate with regularly, is this idea of revolution may need to take the back seat for a little while, and let's just talk about how do we build, because we can get lost in that other stuff and not have a plan for tomorrow. So I think, I hate saying I think, and I said I'm not going to say I think anymore.
You did make that comment before.
I did.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what I'm seeing is a need still for a lot of education. A lot. Because we're still having conversations, arguments, and debates about old ideas that should have been put to rest already.
Yeah.
So we can't even talk about turning anything around when we're still really in an unfortunate state of confusion. And when I say we, because if I talk to 5 people, I might get 5 different responses to one topic.
That's true.
So that's the sign of confusion. We don't have cohesion and ideas. So how are we going to talk about turning something around or overturning or whatever if we really don't have a concrete idea of just how to process information, let alone acting on the information, just even processing the information.
Right. That's a tough, like I said, that's a tough charge. It's a hard call. And, to be realistic, we can leave, we look at Marcus Garvey's, dream of going to another, having our own country on the continent, on another continent. And that could be very well a reality for us. But obviously everybody's not going to go. Everybody can't go. So we had to learn how to live in this space, in this place, in this space, and in this time, in this economic system. Whether we want to realize it or not, capitalism is going to be part of our life. Unless the system itself is overturned. And the only way it's going to get overturned is if it destroys itself. But we're not overturning anything. It's got to be self-destruction. And then what happens? We talked about this earlier. What happens then when the economy collapses? The currency is no longer good because it's not even, it's not even a silver certificate or a gold-based note. It's a Federal Reserve note based on nothing. Fiat, what they call fiat, currency. So what do? So we have people who are now professing that we get gold and silver, and maybe some precious metals, or maybe some gems. You know what I mean? And hold it until such time comes along where we can barter and trade our way through this economic collapse that may or may not happen. Now, the question is not ever asked, how solvent is the gold and the silver and the precious gems? How solvent is that going to be? And even if it's going to be respected by people who are going to be around at that time, the manufacturing process is going to be broken down.
Yeah.
The transportation system is going to be broken down. Nobody's going to be doing anything. So now you got to barter your way through stuff.
Yeah.
So how important is gold to somebody who has a warehouse full of dry goods?
Yeah.
And you come up to them and say, you know, I want to buy a couple of cases of your dried powdered milk or whatever, and I got a gold bullion for you.
Yeah.
How's that going to go over?
It's funny,
you know, how's that going to? I mean, look, let's ask the hard questions.
Yeah.
How solvent is that going to be at that time?
It's great questions. And I was going to say, I just had this conversation with a brother the other day. We're talking about aspects of nation building and formulating new ideas for our own economy. This has been a tough conversation. Let's go back to what our ancestors did. Look at what Africans did. We have our own African ideas. We don't need those Western or those Eurocentric ideas. So if we go back to pre-colonial Africa, how were people exchanging and producing things, right? Look at the history. Look at anthropology, right? Look at archaeology. What evidence do we have to show how African societies functioned along economic basis, right? Most of it was agricultural or pastoral. Right? So we take this modern idea of black entrepreneurialism, right? Black capitalism, right? And we use it here or transport it somewhere else. Well, I'm going to open up a black-owned car wash, right? The own black-owned car wash. And we're going to run business the way our ancestors used to, right? What am I going to give you in exchange for a car wash?
How about that?
What am I going to give you?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to continue to use the white man's money?
Mm-hmm.
No. We're going to use African methods, right? That were pre-colonial, right?
Okay.
So I raise chickens. Are you gonna take my chickens for a car wash? I don't know if that's gonna be feasible.
If it's bad enough, if it's bad enough, it could work. If we're in bad enough condition, it could work. So then again, we're not getting our car washed. There's no need for it. You know, why would you be riding around? If things are that bad, you're not buying no gas. You know, so okay, I got what you're saying though.
Right. So
yeah.
It might be a long stretch, but if we're talking about nationhood, nationalism, having our own functioning economies and societies, then we have to have real answers to these questions. Even though it might be a hypothetical, right? It might be a long shot, right? A long reach, but developing answers to those questions, I think is important right now. Because we don't know what tomorrow's going to look like.
That's
we
true.
really don't.
We don't.
We're on the brink of war constantly. You know, we just survived the pandemic barely, right? We don't know. So I'm not equipped to answer those questions.
Neither am I.
Right? I haven't studied economics. So it's useless to even have arguments about it.
That's true.
It really is.
I agree with that.
But we do it anyway. You know? Why do we get stuck? And this is a question. Why do you... Why do we get stuck arguing about these topics and ideas that we really haven't prepared ourselves to properly answer?
That's true.
Why is that?
Because we don't have the answers. That's why we keep asking. You know what I mean? Hopefully the next leader will pop up and give us the same answers that our other scholarly leaders did before. You know what I mean? They may not be really up to speed right now because some of those answers and stuff may have been in the 80s, the 90s and the 80s and 70s and maybe back in the 60s. However, they're still kind of good,
Yeah.
solid, foundational solutions that just need to be modernized for the 2020s. You know what I mean? So you look at Amos Wilson and his I mean, that's rock solid stuff right there. You know what I mean? The psychoanalytic condition of our people, the psychosis that we're suffering from, that's real.
Yeah.
That you can't dispute none of that. Now he has some solutions, some sociological solutions that may be a little bit antiquated right now.
Yeah.
So we learned some things since then, but you still look at his work and get, just like Takar Kilimanjaro says all the time, get those kernels that you want.
Yes.
Okay, and then you have, of course, we go back to the other scholars.
Yeah.
All those solutions are there, and then the modern scholars we have. You have Baba Baruti, who talks about warriors, warriorship and warriors, and the importance of the center, making sure that our centers are not infiltrated, so that we can come up with those solutions. So the answer to your question as to why do we keep asking the questions and not getting the answers is because we haven't did the synthesis, we haven't did the activation and the socialization of just making a phone call with people so we can decide, okay, who has the integrity going forward? I've talked to so-and-so, 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 and so-and-so.
Yeah.
I've asked so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so, and so-and-so. What's your opinion of so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so, and so-and-so? And if we come up with the same answers, that person has integrity, then we can move forward with integrity into some kind of a center where we can discuss those things, and then we can ask those questions. But until we identify individuals who have unquestioned Iwa and integrity, and we know they're living in the principles of our if we know those things, we identify those people, and we're constantly evaluating those people, because the human ego is fragile.
Yeah.
It can crack and fray at any time. You know what I mean? I can lose my way too. You know what I mean? I don't know how I want to be 10 years from now. I might end up being an imbecile somewhere.
I hope not.
That guy Bob Mkuu, he was a nice dude back when
something happened.
2023, man, he was on the money. Now, not that. 2030, and what the hell happened to him? Hopefully that don't happen. However, Baba Baruti has your answers. He has your answers. Warriorship, Iwa, is linked to integrity and Ma'at. Takar Kilimanjaro tells you all the time, the integrity part is so important. He lays out the historical information for you.
Yeah.
He tells you how the European was and is, and it's not going to change.
Yeah.
He tells you what the Arabs are doing, what they're going to continue to do. So we know ask the right questions. But we need to get some responsible people in there who are willing to make the very simple decision to start having conversations with each other. And we're not doing that. We're too busy trying to be entertained on social media.
So, another thing that I think about is having the right people, right?
Don't worry about that.
Having the right people in place and what that process looks like. Because even myself, guilty too. All these ideas, I have the ideas, I have the integrity, but am I really equipped to do this job? I don't.
What job? What are we talking about?
Let's just say, for example, militarily.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I might have read The Art of War. I might have read Norman Schwarzkopf's biography. I might have read Colin Powell's biography. That doesn't make me prepared to be a general. Right?
You read Mein Kampf?
Read Mein Kampf. I actually did when I was in prison. I read
it's got some good information in there, actually.
But does that prepare me to do the job of being a military general?
Right.
Doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Right? So that's another challenge is identifying the person who's equipped to do the job. They might be centered, they might be well knowledgeable, they might, be a person of upstanding character, but all of that shouldn't trump their
expertise.
ability to exactly
Yeah,
do
the
the job.
expertise. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely correct.
But we have so many who will put in these positions, or they put themselves in these positions, and yeah, he's upstanding, or she's upstanding, righteous, African-centered.
Right.
Look.
Yeah.
But
You want to be our Minister of Defense?
No, absolutely not. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it to myself.
Right.
How do we overcome that? With integrity. Because, in my opinion, that's one of the major challenges. You have people in positions who probably are a good, a good fit based on their character, but are they really equipped to do that job?
That particular job, no. We got to ask. We got to make those hard decisions. Yeah. And again, the evaluation process. Number one, everything has to deal with the integrity part. So you can't do nothing unless you have people of integrity. Yes. Making those evaluations. Okay. So as we having these communications and these conversations with people, and so say the brother who now is the chief of staff. I mean, he runs. Who's the brother now who Biden appointed as the chief of staff now? The big brother. He's the. I think he's the first black one in that business. No, well, except for the dude that had the position under Trump. I'm sorry, under Bush. He's the second one.
I can visualize him.
Yeah, him.
Yeah,
So
I don't know his name.
Say he comes in and say, "Yeah, man, I want to be part of y'all. I want to be part of y'all organization." So looking at the flip side of that, you got the expertise. He said, "Man, he knows everything about the military. He even knows secret codes and all that, right?" Yeah. But do we really want him in our center? I mean, he's been basically Europeanized his entire career, his entire life. Yeah. As a young man going into West Point, more than likely he went to West Point. Or that other military school that they normally come out of. Anybody comes out as a higher rank, and they come out of those one or two schools, and that's real. Yeah. So on the flip side, no, you just can't because the guy has military experience. Oh, yeah, let's take a chance. He look like he's going to be okay. Can't take that chance. Yeah. You got your black extreme. You got what they call the black identity extremists. Yeah. We gotta watch these guys. Y'all was okay until y'all started talking that black stuff. Yeah. We don't have the answers. In other words, we don't have the answers. A possibility and a good example would be Brother Baba in Hotep with his Race First rallies that he's been having. I think he's having a convention in a couple more years. Yeah.
2025.
I know, right, 2025. I know that there's going to be a number of people there who are well-intentioned, who, from everything that I can see, have, a very high level of integrity and everything else. However, we don't know for sure until we get into the room and see what their commitment is and see what kind of questions they are willing to tackle. Yeah. And can you share? Can you share that responsibility with other people? Do you have to be out there in front? Do you need to be do you need to be the lead person? Do you need to be the one up front with the megaphone? Or can you just
do the job?
Be part of the collective and do the thing. So we won't know until we got situations like that there. I'm just using that as an example. Yeah. Where you're gonna have a number of people around the country, probably maybe even from around the world. Because I think it's going to be international based kind of a convention too, as well. And let's see what happens, because I plan on being there, and let's see how we do. Because I know that nobody really has the answers, but we can put together a format so we can answer the questions and move forward and formulate a plan and move forward.
Well, that's where expertise comes in, and that's the gist of what I'm really kind of getting at, is identifying people who have the expertise,
right,
who have the moral grounding, and who have, most importantly, the vision. So if we can't identify people who have expertise in all these key areas, then as a collective, we should have a process where we go and sort those people out, vet them, and maybe give them the necessary development that they need to fully function as an African toward this particular.
I agree with that. I mean, this, like, to me, it's like a common sense approach. There's probably no other way to do that, but the way you just put it.
It's not happening though.
No, it's not happening because we have not put our egos to the side and decided to sit in the same room and come up with some answers to some questions.
Like a question, and I don't want to go too far, but a question that comes up, sometimes in these deep private discussions is, we can name all of these elders and scholars, authors, writers. How come there's no cohesiveness there? What's keeping this group of well-intentioned, well-distinguished people from working together on at least one project? I'm not talking about building a nation. I'm not talking about a full liberation plan, but just a project of some kind. What's keeping, and not to name anybody, but we can identify people who we look up to and appreciate their work. What's keeping them from getting together on one project or one idea?
That's a tough one. I have no easy answers for that. I mean, I can come up with some ideas, maybe some opinions.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get too speculative on stuff. You know what I mean? But I will say that, number one, we do have an issue with jealousy in our community. We do have an issue with listening to the wrong people in our community. Because you may have a problem with so-and-so over here, you know what I mean, who has a philosophy that you don't agree with. And then me and you talk, and you tell me, oh man, the dude over there, he's whack, man, he's whack. So, because you're my friend, I want to take you at your word that this dude is whack. Okay, so it's a vibrational effect going across the relationships that we have.
Yes.
And we don't realize that those vibrations are affecting the decisions that we make. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So that's why you don't see people responding on. Now go back to social media again. You put a post out there, and you wonder. Well, the algorithms to the Facebook algorithms make a big difference. Sometimes people don't even see your posts because of the Facebook algorithms. So, again, it's speculative, but I do know that we have those issues: the jealousy, the slander.
Yeah.
They may not be outright. The real venomous kind of slander, but it's enough to put doubt in people's minds. You talk about somebody else, so that says, Kwasi don't have a good opinion of that dude.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna have a good opinion of that dude. So when the time comes for me to reach out to him, or he reach out to me, I want to just ignore him because of what you said.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because, even with that, like reaching out to people, trying to make those connections, we're so, I don't know if it's a form of paranoia or what, but we don't trust each other. I've seen dozens of times where I might reach out to somebody and then 30 minutes later they put a post on Facebook saying, don't take too kindly to people reaching out to you with ill intent. you can't trust vipers come to you sideways. Man, I reached out to you in all honesty and sincerity. And if I asked you a question or said something that offended you, we could talk about that too. Don't take it as me trying to soft attack you, right?
Right.
Or do something underhanded or devious to you. These wheels keep spinning.
Right.
And we don't get anywhere.
Right.
So a lot of what takes place, I think, is systemic problems that we've internalized.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of identifying these things as internalized challenges, we still take and put the blame out everywhere else around us.
That's true.
And I don't know, man. I come to the conclusion over and over again that if I can't be a benefit to younger people, then I'm really just not fulfilling my obligation, because we're not going to change the perceptions, thoughts, and ideas of grown folk, and we're not going to fully integrate our ideas ever. So I'm fulfilled in creating opportunities and connections with young people who are open and they're able to digest information. And I know I've done what I could do.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've done something. Everybody don't have to see it. It don't have to be on social media.
Right.
It don't have to be in the newspaper. Mm-hmm. But I know that I've made some kind of level of impact in some young person's life, because those are the things that help shape me.
Right.
Someone older, a little wiser,
right,
like yourself, giving me some attention.
Right.
Showing me that you care, that you generally
you just hit the key right there, man.
So if I don't take anything else away, these interactions, the relationship that we have, as not just an elder, but a father figure, an example of a man, I take those things and give them to someone else, and I'm good.
Oh, I mean, that's all. So our job is done, man. We answer all the questions, man, that what need the world to succeed, man, for us to go forward, man. We didn't answer all the questions, right? We're done.
And you didn't even have to pay our Patreon. We didn't need no donation. We didn't need no Bitcoin.
Oh, man.
You didn't have to sign up and subscribe or nothing.
Exactly.
So I hope that we're able to have more of these conversations.
Yeah.
Even if it's not in person.
Right.
Because see my wife sitting over there. These things.
She gonna tell us she gonna tell us we mess up though.
Yeah. I mean, it helps us even in our relationship. My wife doesn't get involved with a lot of this stuff.
Right.
But I know that she's absorbing these.
The classroom is a very, very, and she's listening to the side, y'all, just in case y'all know.
Yeah.
The classroom is a very, very important position where she's teaching in a school of young children.
Yeah.
And if you saw her clips, just the clips that she put out about this advice and these suggestions that she gives these children about how they should live their lives and the decisions that they make. That right there, besides the syllabus and the curriculum part, it's that advice from an adult, that real good common sense type of advice. Don't get mad, don't make that decision. Don't get Johnny, don't go down the road with Johnny. And if they get on your nerves, you can walk away and don't feed into that. That has got to be some of the most important work that anybody can do. And my hat has always been off to the work that your wife does. So we can, but yeah, man, it's been good. I want to see how we do in the future, in the near future with Triumphant Academy. I know you still got some ideas on that and some plans.
Yeah, I'm always.
Where you want to go.
I'm always struggling with impact. You know, where we live, you know, you're here, South Carolina. It's a very conservative area, right? There's very little black consciousness. Forget about African consciousness. Just black consciousness. Very small, right? So I'm always thinking about impact. Is what we're doing beneficial? Are we getting the outcomes that we desire? One thing that I'm trying to do now is fully convert everything to a digital platform. Kind of like a Khan Academy. Khan Academy is an open source platform. People can go on, log on, and learn about anything under the sun. I want to do that, but gear it completely toward the black experience.
Okay.
Weave in some necessary African culture and concepts and history, but really weave it to the black experience in America in particular, and expand the reach.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people say, don't worry about the numbers of the people that you get.
Right.
You know, we've done programs with 20, 30, 50 kids. Sometimes you might get 2 or 3. But I think since everything's digital and everyone's online anyway, that we have a greater impact by putting everything on the website and allowing people to access it completely free.
Right.
Just if it's not open source, meaning anybody can have access to it, I just don't want to be involved with. And it's just me. If I'm not producing something that's worth buying, right, that I actually put my time and energy and effort into, then I want to have a diverse platform where everyone can kind of sew into it. And it's not about me.
Right.
It's not my thing. It's community.
Right. I mean, you know, this is something that we talked about, you talked about, you know, for the last year or so, or maybe longer, as far as I know. But we'll eventually get there. I'm here to assist you as best I can.
Appreciate it.
And it was a pleasure being here, man.
Thank you.
Good deal. Good deal. Good deal.
Always.
Thank you, my brother.
Always.
Go ahead and jump in there, Kwasi.
Not today.
Yeah, Mkuu. I hit with T-Fit. Where that gallon of water at, girl? Yow! What's it? Out here walking with the Amponsas. Got a good little stroll.